Okay, we're coming to you live from Adelaide. Not very great news to report from here. That is, India's campaign at the T20 World Cup has now come to an end, courtesy a dominating performance by the English team, winning that game by a massive margin of 10 runs. So, India got 168, which at one point looked like a competitive total, but then it was just one-way traffic, especially the English openers, the way they batted. Both Alex Hales as well as Joss Butler were outstanding. Didn't give India any chance in the game, and in the end, England, which couldn't go past this stage last time around, have gone one step further, made it to that final, and now would be trying to win that title up against, of course, they'll have a strong Pakistan team as well. Pragyan, 168 at that time seemed like a competitive total. Let's start with the Indian bowling. I mean, yes, you can lose on a given day. Yes, the other team can play well, but you expected some sort of a fight from the Indian bowling lineup. That unfortunately wasn't there to be seen today. Okay, Pragyan, I think we can't hear your audio at the moment. We'll try and fix that, and I'll get back to you as well. But as I was saying, it's not one of those days that Indian cricket fans would have hoped for. They expected a dream India versus Pakistan final. All things were heading towards that. But at the end, that wasn't to be because of a dominating performance that we saw from the English team. Not even losing a single wicket. That just tells you how good they have been. Interesting campaign England have had in the tournament so far. The way they started, they had a few hiccups, then had to win must-win games to qualify. But from there, now looking really, really good. You could hear screams and shouts of "Go England!" A few English supporters that were there in the stadium. Pragyan, if you can hear me now, I'll try and ask you that same question. Yes, you can have a bad day. Obviously, a bad day is what India had today. But you expected slightly better fight from the Indian bowlers. That was lacking.
Uh, Absolutely. I think English batsmen, they just went on with great guns. They were well prepared and they were just looking for that good start, and they just capitalized on that, and then just they never gave any chance to Indian bowlers. But as I said, when you have a wicket taker in your team, why not play him? Last World Cup, the same discussion was going on. UZCL was not part of the team, but this time he was part of the team. He did not play a game at all. Maybe against England, I thought he would have gotten that chance because the dynamics are totally different when you play bowling against English batsmen. They find it little difficult when they're playing leg spinners. So maybe I thought that is where I was a little disheartened.
Okay, I'll talk about Yuzi Chahal because you make a very interesting point. One of the certified wicket taker that we've had in this format, he's now missed two T20 World Cups. That is something that no one would have expected, especially. Sri Lanka is out. It's England. That's one. Anyway, just going back to what we were discussing, Pragyan. Let's talk about the batting first, and I'll get to the Indian bowling a little later. Did you think 168 that India got was competitive enough on a better day with a better bowling performance? This could have been a winning total, or do you think no? Even in batting, we faltered.
Absolutely, in batting we faltered. If you see the start that the openers gave, somewhere we missed the trick. And when Indians were batting, it looked like the wicket was a bit tricky. But if you see, the wicket was actually a good one. It was a
Yeah.
wicket where they could have got at least 180, 190. It was such track. Like nothing much changed when England came into bat. It was not an afternoon game where in the afternoon the wicket is different, and in the evening because of the breeze or because of the moisture, sometimes it changes. It wasn't the case, so the wicket remained the same, similar. Maybe that's where we tried hard, but we could not uh, go get a score which was actually actually could have given chance to India to go forward and reach the finals. They're well short of their margin, and that is something which I think Indian team will sit back and reflect, because we it has been an issue where Mm, every time we had one or two batsmen who got runs, but it wasn't in the sync. Like, if you see other teams, all their batsmen contributed, but in a Indian team, it was one or two players. That is what has been the concern, and that is the reason why this was the case.
Pragyan, just looking at you, you talk about India's batting performance also not great. We kept hearing a lot about change in template. The template is changing. That's what the Indian team is trying to do. What happens when you play a game like that? What happened with that? The template didn't quite come to the fore, and eventually you get to see the team play exactly how they've been playing their T20 cricket. Do you think that's a bit outdated?
Actually, when you see captain definitely said that he's going to play with a different template, but maybe they have to think deep into it, because when you change your mindset, you have to really think that are the players playing to the template, or are they following the plan that they have planned to execute. The plan
नहीं
was
नहीं.
clearly not executed, because if you see, there are few teams, they have their plans and they execute it. There are two quality teams that we faced in this tournament, and they literally showed us why we were behind them. South Africa, they outsmarted us
Okay.
in Perth, and this was in England where they outsmarted us.
Okay, Joss Butler and Alex Hales, the standout performers for England. That is what has given them this victory. Also, Pragyan, let's take a look at the English batting performance. They haven't been having a great time throughout this tournament. We saw the batting not really firing. We saw one game where Joss Butler got some runs, one game where Alex Hales got some runs. The pressure was on our middle order. If India were to win with the total that they set, they needed those quick wickets, they needed the openers. That wasn't coming. Do you think India faltered in any way in terms of bowling changes? Why is it that they couldn't get those early breakthroughs?
I think I could clearly see there was a lot of pressure. If you see the way England started, none of our bowlers could catch up. That's how clear it was, because we have seen a different Bhuvi, we have seen a different Arshdeep, we have seen a different Mohammad Shami prior to this game. That is what I was talking about. When you play knockout games, when you play semi-finals, you need bowlers or batters who can uh, handle the pressure well. And I think they just succumb to the pressure. That's all I can say, because skill never goes away. Skill of a particular player or a particular individual stays with them. It is how well you handle the pressure, and I think it clearly showed that they were feeling the pressure. And maybe the trick was to pick those early wickets. Even in the mid innings, I said the same thing. It is not about getting seven or eight batters. It is about getting the early wickets that will set the tone. And it did not happen, and you see what was the result. So that is something which I think Indian uh, think tank need to sit and think about, why we are not able to handle the pressure in a crunch game, in a knockout, or in a big tournament.
Okay, you saw the game. What do you think went wrong with the Indian team? Was it too much pressure? Because we're seeing, like Pragyan in the studio points out, that pressure is one thing that India have failed to, control in these knockout games in the past few big tournaments.
I don't think we batted very well in this game. I saw Vikrant Paji before the game, and I did mention that if we are batting first, we should score against England at least 200 plus. If we are batting first, and that's the thing we did not do well. And against this batting side, I think we should have scored at least 200 plus while batting first, and then I don't think we played. I don't think we played the way we should have played the game.
200, interesting thoughts. Maybe because England's batting is their strength, they end up chasing whatever total you set at them. Maybe 200 is what Indian team should have aimed at rather than a past total. Where do you think they went?
Maybe if I think it's team selection, because like we need Yuzvendra Chahal, we need leg spinner in this ground, because like we know England batting lineup like struggle with the leg spinner. So maybe if like Ashwin or Akshay Patel, we have one leg spinner, wicket taker bowler. We need one. Because like we didn't take any wickets today because we don't have wicket taking bowler. So Yuzvendra Chahal is the main key and we miss out that. So that's the main point.
Lovely to be in the company of some knowledgeable fans. As they point out, as one of them says, maybe 200, you should have aimed for it. If not 200, maybe 180, 190. And the other thing that everyone's talking about, that is something that Pragyan also pointed earlier in the program, saying Yuzi Chahal not playing. And to be fair to Pragyan, he's not saying this in hindsight. I remember having those conversations before the game had started with Pragyan joining us on those live broadcasts. And he had said at the time that maybe Yuzi Chahal is someone that you should look at. Pragyan, what do you think could be the reason? Try and get into the mind of the Indian team management. What do you think could have been reason why they thought that maybe Yuzi is not the right guy and suddenly Ashwin becomes that guy?
Are you asking me?
I think absolutely it is because of the depth in the batting. That is something which maybe has gone against UZ. But you have to understand that in T20 cricket, if your 6 or 7 batters don't get runs, you cannot expect your 8 or 9, number 9 batsman to go and score you those runs. So you have to be a little brave. You have to have your own template. And over the years, you see Chahal has been picking wickets. He's been doing that in and out for you. And then suddenly, last World Cup, he missed out, unfortunately. And this World Cup also, he was there, part of the team, but could not make it into 11. So that is something which I think little surprises me and maybe a reason for little, being disappointed because you had the weapon, but you could not use it.
Go further back. Okay, plenty more young fans joining me. She has an opinion. Go ahead. What did you say?
So India didn't really play well today, and England were very rude to me and other people. It's because they were singing songs and pointing fingers.
Are you heartbroken?
Yep, definitely.
What did you make of the game?
I did not like it. It's because I did not like it. It's because even when India was versing South Africa, India lost.
Okay.
And then now India lost.
Okay, no problem. You'll get more chance to chair the Indian team. Two very young supporters joining me on the program. Both of them saying that, they're heartbroken because they expected the Indian team to do well. They had come with very high hopes. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case that we got to witness here. Pragyan, staying with the Indian team's performance, I know that, the fans are going to be disappointed. But in the macro picture, where do you see Indian cricket go from here?
I think there will be lot of hard questions or tough questions asked, and they need also reality check where what you need to do. You've seen lot of teams after a failure, they go back, reflect, and then they see what they need to address. And when they address, they've achieved what they wanted or they dream of achieving. So it's quite clear they have to go back and sit and they need to address what they need to do. Same with England. They were playing a different cricket. They lost few tournaments. They went back. They worked on it. The next time they came into an ICC tournament or an ICC event, they looked a different side. And look at the results they have been getting. They won the World Cup, the 50-over World Cup, and now they're in the finals. So you have to address. You have to, unfortunately, bail the cat, because if you don't do that, then you cannot see a change in the result. So that needs to be addressed. They need to take hard calls now.
Okay, come. I'll get more fans in. Plenty of fans joining me. What happened, brother? You've been supporting the team, traveling everywhere, huh?
Yeah, man, we totally broke today. They broke our heart, man. Every knockout games, every semi, we can't, go ahead more than semis. We've been, knockout from all the semis, all the big tournaments, and I'm not saying we just fed up, but I don't know what
are you going to say, man?
He's lost for words.
On this loss, what are you going to say on this one?
There's nothing to say.
The team like India, you're gonna make semis anyway.
Yeah, of course.
You have the structure, you have everything. You're gonna make the knockouts, but that one step ahead to the finals. When's that gonna happen? When's that gonna happen? From last how many years? You name it.
11, yeah.
Champions Trophy. You say the T20
2013 Champions Trophy was the last.
was the last one, and then the Pakistan final that in
Yeah,
England.
so that all of you are visible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
and
ahead.
then, how many knockouts we gonna go out of the tournaments? ICC trophies. What's been happening to us? All the I don't want to say like the low grade teams, like the teams I'm talking about. KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma. They go out, set the game on fire. And today, it was one of the most important, and everything was on the stake for Team India. This was the highest, the platform to perform.
It was better. England taught us how we should play a T20 game.
Yeah.
That's how we should play. Even like our openers, how many runs they made in power play? Like 35, hardly 40. That's it.
Bro, everyone know how should they play, but when they're gonna start playing it?
It was fearless cricket from England, and
IPL, man.
like India scored only 30, 36 in all power plays, all games. They never scored 50 runs, so we can't win like that.
We still have a Team India. All right, that's fine. It happens. Next time we gonna back you guys. That's fine.
scored them.
But you know what we need? We need a one trophy, bro. It's been 10 odd years since we following the team. We need a trophy. Give it a trophy, boys.
Valid point. He makes valid points.
Yeah, I think the jinx will never end.
Jinx will end, eventually it'll end, but I think what you guys are saying are some very valid points. One, fearless cricket is one thing that they mentioned. Secondly, you got to see how other teams are playing T20 cricket. Thirdly, do you think that, team selection overall that we've been faltering on?
Yeah, of course. Even if you had to play with the veteran players like, Dinesh Karthik and Ashwin, you could bring even the Shikhar Dhawan, who had a marvelous, record in ICC, tournaments, especially in Australia. But you could play with Shikhar Dhawan or maybe, Ishan Kishan. You could bring them, but instead of even Rohit, like Rahul played, some couple of knockouts, against Zimbabwe and Netherlands, yeah? Maybe a couple of weakest teams.
It was close game against Pakistan. It was close game against Pakistan, and we lost to England. We lost to South Africa. So how you can win that
Pakistan
tournament?
game, yes, they lost the game, but you know what? We were just losing that game, just at the verge of lose, and somehow we just got over.
Miracle. That was a miracle.
Yeah.
I think.
We played three biggest team against three biggest team: Pakistan, South Africa, and today England. Pakistan, we hardly won. It was a miracle, as you said. South Africa, they outplayed us. Today, England, they outplayed us. We won against Bangladesh, rain saved us. But this tournament, I don't think so.
It was not New Zealand this
Don't
time.
worry, brother. We'll take your revenge on Sunday. We'll beat England. And we'll take your revenge.
Okay.
There is no revenge.
but
I
there was-
tell you, there is no revenge in cricket. It has to be the day you have to perform. There is no revenge. And then there's the next time.
They were different team this
won't
time.
be
Every time it was New Zealand,
see.
but first time we played against England in 30 years.
Yeah.
It was knockout, and we lost.
Yay, buddy.
Oh, mate,
Come in.
absolutely ecstatic because these guys, these guys were awesome all the way through, right? They've got some very good players, but didn't perform on the night. Bowling wise,
That's what matters.
bowling, and that's what
on the big
matters.
game, especially in the big
Yeah,
game.
the big games. I tell you, these are a very good side, right?
But you can't say for 10, 15 years we need
Yeah,
to
we-
win.
Yes,
We have to
yes.
perform in
But there's
knockouts.
many teams that fail.
Yeah, I know.
There's many teams that fail, but England are there. Barmy Army! Barmy Army! Barmy Army!
Okay, welcome back to Battle of Champions, coming to you live from the Adelaide Oval. This was England's night. I've got a few English fans. Come on, give me the song and dance that you were just doing.
Can't remember the words. How did it go?
We are the army, the Barmy Army, and we are mental, and we are mad. We are the loyalist cricket supporters that the world has ever had. We are the army, the Barmy Army.
We were expecting a tougher game, but we have a song in England, and it goes
Sure.
easy, 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 easy.
Okay, who is the star today? Who is the
Star today?
Alex Hales.
Hales knocked it out of the park.
Hales
Easy,
was just-
every day. Hales, come back in the team, doing the business. Joss, yeah, ran him close.
Just the boss. Huh?
Just the boss, yeah. He led from the front, but Hale supported him well, right? 80 apiece, 4 overs to spare. It doesn't get much better than that, right?
Right.
We're just hoping the rain holds off in Melbourne on Sunday, right?
You're gonna knock Pakistan off, are you? With this kind of form.
Easy. Too easy. It's done.
Give me that easy against. That is a taunt to the Indian team.
Before we go, I think all the English batsmen are going to give up their business class seats for the bowlers. Yeah. Hey!
The Indian teams.
Easy.
Thank
Hey,
you so much.
We'll see you in America.
Yeah, all right. Have a good night, guys. Celebrate. Thank you so much. So some really excited Barmy Army or the English supporters. They had a song for the Indian team, and that went like easy because they thought, they would have got a better fight, but not the fight that they were expecting from the Indian team. So disappointing there from what the Indian team did. Ecstatic English supporters, we just heard from them. And the last bit they told me whilst they were leaving, that we'll see you in the US of A, because that's where the next T20 World Cup is. For the moment, they've got their eyes on the title. You could still hear them still celebrating right behind me there. I think it's going to be a long night, if you're an English fan. Pragyan Oja, still with us. Pragyan, we were hearing from the fans, and it's lovely to hear from a few Indian fans and the kind of insights that they had. One of the things that they really pointed out, fearless cricket, that maybe it's time for us to figure out that, T20 is changing, that you got to play fearless cricket. But how do you play fearless cricket? You said pressure. I think pressure got to them. How do you get rid of that pressure, just as England has been doing? Remember, they're the 2019 50-over champions as well.
I think to change the template, they had to take some very, very serious calls. They looked at maybe new players who can offer you those kind of templates while playing a game against some big opponent or in a very crucial game. So as I said, I think a lot of things have to be discussed over the table and need to see what they can do to prepare themselves for the next T20 World Cup. I think that will be very realistic.
Few more Indian fans are trickling out now, all heading home. Many of them had tickets to go to Melbourne, but that's not going to be the case because England will be travelling there. India would have to go home. Not everyone's going to be going home. Some heading to New Zealand. What happened?
It's a disappointment for everyone who's been here waiting for India. We're expecting them to win, of course. We have Bharat Army everywhere. We have big support here, but unfortunately conditions have not been the way they should have been. Few things I think the team has to change, from discipline being one of the things. And the second thing is the way they have performed the game today. Having no wickets and then having the chance of losing the game is a big disappointment. You just can't let that such a big game being so casual.
I'd be very honest, the fact that England overplayed India in such a bad way is a very big learning for two things. If you see the game just as a spectator, when they had placed the players on the boundaries, they took singles and doubles like it was just a joke. They brought them in and same shot on offside for 4 fours. I'd say India batted well for the first time, where they didn't need bowling to save them. But then Alex Hales is just a beast. And if they get to chase, I had a discussion with one of my mates in the morning as well. We had a very fumble and normal discussion saying that if England get to chase, they win 99% of time, but having a win like this is much worse than Pakistan's win. It's saddening. I had a Melbourne ticket. I think that's going to burn.
It's saddening though, but you don't forget, every team has a tier-away fast bowler. India doesn't have that. India needed Umran Malik, in my opinion. A tier-away fast bowler who could have gone through the defenses, but there was nobody. Bumrah, he was also unfit. So, you can't expect from Shami and the guys. Yes, but
this is all hindsight. Till they were winning, nothing was wrong. Suddenly they lose.
Yeah, but at the same time, the other teams were not playing to their potential. Pakistan didn't play to their potential. Harisov didn't bowl well at that time. And Virat Kohli played an exceptional innings. India didn't play a single good game in the tournament to a bigger side. Yes. And we lost to South Africa.
I'll add to the thing that you said that other teams, when India won from the other teams, it was a good thing. But if you consider the first match, India versus Pakistan, we were almost on the verge of losing the game. All right, it was just like you would say it was our luck that we won the game somehow. Second match when we had just consider India versus Bangladesh. All right, Bangladesh thus was batting so good. All right, we had like 70, 80s on the board with like 0 wickets.
You'll all have to be. Keep going. Yeah.
All right, we had like 70, 80 runs on the board with 0 wickets. I mean, Das was batting so good. It was the rain on that day that changed the match.
Okay.
All right, third match you have India versus Zimbabwe. If you consider India losing from Zimbabwe, that's a shame. That's why India won anyways.
Yeah, I just want to say like India lack opening partnership. All they is letting KL play, but which records they are saying? The last 3 years or last 2 years, they should say the present records. KL is not doing good with the best teams. He's doing good with the not best teams. And the second thing, they were giving power play to the spinner. They have tried with the Aksar. Now they should try with the other Arshdeep one more time. So I think Rohit Sharma lacked little bit of captaincy. That's as an audience what we can see. Rest.
We're listening to the audience.
A neighbor version?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I think India has a great team. As Pakistanis, we got upset as well with our
You're
team.
from Pakistan.
Yeah,
okay.
from
Tell
Pakistan.
me.
Okay. I would say...
You're not gloating in India's loss.
No. No, look, listen. It doesn't matter what anybody wants. Whatever happens, happens down on the ground. You can talk it all out, analysis and everything. But I think the way you guys supported Virat Kohli through this, support your team. You guys didn't have Jadeja. You didn't have Bumrah. So obviously your bowling was weak. Yes, maybe an introspection is required. But, I mean, at the end we have to accept, like, what England did was nobody was expecting it. So just take heart from the fact your team made it here. They finished at the top. And then carry on. This is not the end of the world. I know we are so passionate, all of us. Like when we came in from Canada, a bunch of my friends there and us, Pakistan was out. Yes. They were out from the Zimbabwe game had happened, and we're like, okay, you know what? We're going to just enjoy Australia and the games. Yeah. Miraculous things happen, they happen, but just. You know.
At the end of the day, it's a sport, right? So things happen. You do well sometime, you don't do well sometime. But the Indian fans, you heard from them as well, they have the right to be disappointed too because they support their team. And, it's not always winning or losing. It's probably the kind of performance which is really disheartened the Indian fans. You heard from them.
Pakistani fan as well?
No, I have already. Okay. I have. Yes, I have. I have interviewed English, Pakistani, Indian fans plenty.
Game today was very defensive, and I think that has been what's going on within the Indian team. I think if they would have utilized their power plays better, I think they would have done well. And the bowling got a bit exposed as well, so I was a bit disappointed looking at how they bowled today as well.
I agree with the power play factor. Any game that we've had, the only good power play we've had is against Zimbabwe. Like, there is no good power play. All power plays are just around 30-36 margins, which is nothing. England had what? I think 61 runs in the power play? That's a joke. Chasing 170 and 6 over 61. You have to someday learn that you need to improve your bowling or you need to change some tactic when you face big teams.
My disappointment is really that Pakistan-India final would have been the amazing thing. Yeah. So
but thank you so much. Thank you so much. Pragyan Oja, still with us. Pragyan, one thing that we heard from a lot of fans here is the approach in the power play. We saw England today notch up 60 plus without losing any wickets. I mean, on days where India lose a lot of wickets, it's a different thing. But that power play approach we often hear in T20 cricket, teams that win power play end up winning the games. But with India, we've seen that age-old approach, right? Be very circumspect in the power play, try and save wickets, and then hope that someone at the death gets you runs. Today, Hardik Pandya did, but on days that probably you need about 200, like this, England team can chase, that's the day that you will never do something out of the box.
See, absolutely, I can understand what England has done is extraordinary, and they have been following their own template. They have been playing fearless cricket, but there are a few things that which I feel India should be look at is that they played little slow in the power play, and also they lost wickets. And those power play, the slow strike rate that we are talking about was extended to the 9th and 10th over. So that is where the problem is. They never changed the gear. That is something which everybody were discussing, that if you're trying to play to a template, you have to change your gears. And maybe we saw that from Surya Kumar Yadav. Virat Kohli has a different role, but our openers, they could not give that start. Only start that we saw was Zimbabwe. And you see the way we played against Zimbabwe, the way we dominated. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see other teams, we could not actually do that. Then after that, if you see That is something which we had spoken about in the last World Cup. Same thing happened this World Cup as well. So that is something we need to actually talk about. And very rightfully, Rahul Dravid said that right now is not the time. They will go back and reflect on it and see what can be done.
Okay, welcome back to Battle of Champions, coming to you live from Adelaide. We're also joined by Harbhajan Singh. Harbhajan, I've been talking to a lot of fans here, and one thing that really comes out, and it's a common sentiment shared by most of them, is that India's approach to T20 cricket probably is outdated. Would you agree with this assessment?
Yes, I do feel so. First 10 overs, 10 to 12 overs, if you see, while India was batting, they were just playing like it's a one-day international kind of a game. You have another 40 overs to go. India were like 60 something in first 11 overs, which is not enough. And of course, it's an outdated kind of a thing. Of course, you're playing this format, you should learn from England, how they batted and how they played this format. And, they played like champions. First 6 overs, they were on 70. And that's the way this format should be played. And credit to England. But yes, it's very disappointing to see the approach India, have showed throughout this tournament in terms of opening partnership. They didn't look to score more than 35, 40 runs in first 6 overs. And they've not been in the best of the form as well, which is understandable, which can happen to any team, but at least show that intent to score runs, which wasn't there, and that's very disappointing to see. And yes, today this lose, it is hurting because we didn't fight. We didn't fight at all.
Harbhajan, stay on a couple more questions with you. Yeah, quickly say.
A very disappointing performance the way India performed. Like they should have given a fight. Actually, they didn't even fight at all. They just gave the match in the hand of England.
Okay, but it's a tough night, but hope you guys can recover from this and then support.
We'll there to support India. We'll always support India, but India should not disappoint us in a big game like this. They should perform well.
All right, but that's sport. That happens. Harbhajan, I'm coming back to you. In terms of team selections, another thing that a lot of people have spoken here, that Yuzvendra Chahal, he's been one of your certified wicket takers in this format. Take out the stats of IPL, every year you'll find him amongst the top wicket takers. Then suddenly, when it comes to the T20 World Cup, he misses out. And now it's happened in 2 T20 World Cups. Last time he didn't make the squad. This time he makes the squad, doesn't even pick up doesn't even get one game. In a pitch like this, where Adil Rashid, where the ball was gripping, Adil Rashid was bowling very well. Do you think India missed Yuzi Chahal? And what do you make of Yuzi Chahal's non-selection generally throughout the tournament?
Well, I've been very vocal about it. That Yuji should have been in your squad from the first game itself. He's been a champion bowler for Team India for many years now and winning a lot of games for India. And of course, our spinner who played in this game, they didn't look to spin the ball at all. One ball Ashwin bowled, which is an off spin, and it spun and it almost hit the thigh pad of the batsman. That shows that this wicket had a lot of things for the spinner. When Adil Rashid bowled, he didn't let any Indian batters look settled. In the middle, and our spinners, they didn't look like a spinner. They didn't bowl like spinner, and it's so frustrating to see a champion bowler like Yuzvendra Chahal sitting out, not getting a game. I don't know what are the reasons. Um, Maybe he must have done something to someone in the team that he's not getting a game. But with his credential, with his record, I think he should have been your first choice from day one. But it's way too late to get to that. But I think team selection has been really, really bad. And of course, the intent, what they showed, even with the bat. Now everyone is talking about India's bowling because India's bowling looked really bad because we lost by 10 wickets. That is fine, but what did we do in the first 10 overs while we were batting? I think that's where we lost the game. It was Hardik Pandya who got us to that sort of score where India could fight and probably win on such wicket. But you minus Hardik Pandya's run, India would have been sitting on 130. So you have to look deep inside you and see if a few people are good enough now to play this format or not.
That's going to be my next question, Harbhajan. I was getting to that. What would you like to see India's approach now going forward in T20 cricket when it comes to a few personnel? So I'm going to talk about a few senior players. Virat Kohli had a very good tournament. There's Captain Rohit Sharma. There is Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Mohammad Shami. Do you think India should now, irrespective of how they perform, start looking at the next T20 World Cup, which is 2 years away, to be played in the USA? And if you're going to be looking at that World Cup, do you still continue with these players in bilateral series or start blooding in youngsters and preparing them for 2 years from now?
Well, I think India have got a lot of talent, lot of talent. It's time. I think someone like Hardik Pandya should be given captainship of a T20 format. Till the next World Cup at least, so he can build the team around him. Having some senior along with him, and of course some newcomers coming in and taking the team forward, and that should be the way forward. And of course, if you're talking about the split captainship, then why not split coaching as well? Have someone who played this format, recently, and who can guide them what to do, what not to do. Of course, Rahul Dravid, I've got great regards for him. He's been a very dear friend and a very very big player for Team India. But I think this format, Rahul, I don't know how much he's involved in terms of planning or doing as a coach. I think someone like, who just played the game, who just recently retired, may be able to, help Rahul or have someone. I'm not saying remove Rahul, but have someone from that zone to help Rahul to guide the team. This is the format and how this should be played. And yeah, I think these are the kind of step India should look to do going forward.
Harbhajan, another thing that will be spoken about when it comes to the Indian team, they've been reaching this stage very often, the semi-final, right? They did it in the 2015 World Cup, 2019 World Cup. We saw them do it in the 2016 T20 World Cup at home. So this is the stage that they continuously have been reaching, and most fans that I was talking to expect the Indian team to reach this far. What is it that comes into the Indian team not to be able to take that one extra step and go to the finals or even lift a title? We haven't lifted a title since 2013. Do you think handling pressure, the weight of expectations, all these things weigh them down?
Well, I think it comes down to the mindset of playing big games, and of course, we often talk about South Africa choking. Now people will start talking about us as well. That we also choke in bigger game at bigger platforms. Of course, we have done well amongst all the teams. When we played in bilateral series, because pressure is less and there's not too much on stake. And World Cup is a big platform. You tend to think too many things, and that's where India, I believe, make mistakes. And if you see, they were a bit too cautious. First 12 overs, the way they batted, it was, seemed like they were playing a one-day international 50-over match, and it was Hardik Pandya who actually gave them respective total. Otherwise, things would have been even more easier for England to chase down this total. And the kind of approach India have taken in T20, not now but over the years now, I think that need to be changed, and new things need to evolve with the team. How this format needs to be played, and it should be fair and freeless, and play freely. You can't just be very cautious and be worried about your wicket at all time and not getting out. No, if you get out, you get out, but look to hit every ball you see. Look to hit a boundary or a single or double. Convert those runs into like one into two. So that approach needs to be changed. I think they need some serious gathering in the team, and they must come up with the template that this is how we want to play. You might lose few games, but eventually that will help you to grow as a team, as individual, to go forward.
Okay, plenty for the Indian team to contemplate, as very well pointed out there by Harbhajan Singh and Pragyan Bhajji. They point out to a lot of things, whether it was team selection, whether it is the kind of template that they've been playing their T20 cricket with, whether it is, the weight of expectations, playing a knockout, crucial game. All of these things need to be looked at, whether it's the coaching as well, as Harbhajan says. Maybe get a youngster there to assist Rahul Dravid, who understands the nuance of this T20 format. Many things for India to look at if they really want that trophy in their hands once again. As far as the future of some of those senior players are concerned, Rahul Dravid said, too early to talk about it. We'll go back home and then discuss that. Harbhajan Singh, Pragyan Bhajji, thanks so much for your company. That's all that I have for you in this special broadcast that was coming to you live from Adelaide. Unfortunately, the end of India's road here at the T20 World Cup. Bye-bye for now.